You're about to see which are the best size 3 weapons in Star Citizen to fit your playstyle. We're testing them all using upgraded Aegis sabers, since they allow us to carry 4 size 3 weapons. I'll leave links to other weapon comparison videos we've done in the description below, and with that out of the way, let's go. Starting with Scatterguns, which are shotguns for ships. Up first we have the epic Dominance III. This laser scattergun looks great on any ship, is manufactured by Hurston Dynamics and is super deadly. It does 930 burst DPS, max alpha damage of 1116 and fires 50 rounds per minute. Needless to say, with shotguns or scatterguns, you need to be on top of your target to get the maximum damage out of your weapons. Next we have the Predator ballistic scattergun by Apocalypse Arms, and this one is beyond epic in almost every way from looks to efficiency. If you like them big and chunky, this is the gun for you, and definitely my favorite size 3 scattergun overall. It has a burst DPS and max alpha damage of 840 and fires 60 rounds per minute, making it an absolute beast up close. It also has 1980 rounds of ammo per gun, so you'll be doing plenty of killing before needing to rearm. The only other shotgun-like weapon we have for the size 3s is the Pyroburst laser scattergun. It shells out 462 burst DPS and 396 max alpha damage, and has the highest fire rate of all 3 options in this class at 70 rounds per minute. It also has the most range, allowing you to start dropping shields from 2.4 kilometers away. It does feel like the weakest option in its class though. For distortion weapons, you have 2 options. Looking at the DR model XJ3 repeater, it does 386 burst DPS and only 58 max alpha damage at 400 rounds per minute. Needless to say, distortion weapons on their own are near useless and require you to mix it up with other laser or ballistic weapons to be effective. The Suckerpunch-XL distortion cannon has a burst DPS of only 304 and max alpha damage of 183 at 100 rounds per minute, thus requiring you to pair it with laser or ballistic cannons to get the most out of it. If you get it right though, Suckerpunch-XL will shut down enemy ships very fast once the shields are down, plus they look fantastic. Now for my favorite weapon type, cannons. Up first, one of the most recommended cannons among Star Citizens, the Deadbolt III. With an impressive burst DPS of 759 and 455 max alpha damage, mixed with a fire rate of 100 rounds per minute and 2.6 kilometer range, it's easy to see why it's so popular. It will wreck almost anything in PvE, but having a projectile speed of only 1000 meters per second means it's not fast enough for PvP situations. Then we have the most popular stock cannon, the M5A. It has a 456 burst DPS and 273 max alpha damage, making it a decent choice if you like lasers. It fires 100 rounds per minute and has a 2.3 kilometer range. While it's good enough for PvE, its slow projectile speed, just like the Deadbolt III, is what holds the M5A back from being effective in PvP. The Omnisky IX is my go-to PvE laser cannon, and it's even half decent for PvP with a 1.4 km per second projectile speed and 2.6 km range. It does 547 burst DPS and has a max alpha damage of 219. It fires at a rate of 150 rounds per minute, though you definitely want good power plants to ensure you get as many shots possible before needing to recharge. Another epic laser cannon I've really enjoyed using while making this video is the Quarreler. It's near identical to the Omnisky IX, apart from having more HP and using more power. Its burst DPS is 547 with a 219 max alpha damage and 150 rounds per minute. But honestly, it actually feels stronger overall, though because you use more power with the Quarreler, you get less shots and recharge time feels slower, so I'd stick with the Omnisky for now. One laser cannon that lives up to its name due to its high projectile speed of 1.8 kilometers per second is the Lightstrike III. An awesome looking weapon that does 462 burst DPS and has a max alpha damage of 111. As the name suggests, it's incredibly fast firing with a fire rate of 250 rounds per minute. It's a very fun weapon and can even be effective in PvP against smaller, squishy targets. If you like the Lightstrike III, definitely check out the FL33 laser cannon with a 462 burst DPS and 111 max alpha damage, 250 rounds per minute and 1.8 kilometer per second projectile velocity. It's identical in almost every way, but actually has more hit points than the former. I do find its recharge speed to be incredibly slow though, which is what ultimately holds it back from being an effective PvP weapon. Next up, the Tarantula GT-870 Mk ballistic cannon manufactured by Gallinson Tactical System, or GATS for short. It does 455 burst DPS, has 137 max alpha damage and fires an impressive 200 rounds per minute at 1.6 kilometers per second. It reloads really fast for a cannon and it can start wrecking opponents from 2.6 kilometers away, though it does only have 324 rounds of ammo, which is a bit of a bummer. The 11 series Broadsword ballistic cannon is another fast firing option that can spit out 250 rounds per minute at 1.6 kilometers per second projectile velocity. It does 455 burst DPS and has a max alpha damage of 109. Even though it has a slightly lower max alpha damage than the Tarantula GT-870 Mk, it does have a lot more ammo. 489 rounds to be exact, before needing to rearm, making the 11 series broadsword cannon slightly better in my opinion. Now, for the most stupidly OP ballistic weapon of all size 3s, the Sledge III Mass Driver cannon. This thing is just ridiculously overpowered if you can time your shots well. With a 250 burst DPS and 1125 max alpha damage, your projectiles fly out at 3000 meters per second and will wreck anything it touches. Who cares if the reload speed is slow, allowing only 13 rounds per minute if it only takes 3 shots to down a big meteor medium fighter in a saber. You'll have to be within 1.5 kilometers to hit though, so there's that. Then we have repeaters. So which repeater can and should you buy? Let's start with the Attrition 3. Now, this used to be my favorite PvE weapon in the game because of its insane 786 burst DPS and ability to fire 350 rounds per minute. But it only has 135 max alpha damage and the 1000 meters per second projectile speed just doesn't do it for me anymore. It's not a bad weapon, not at all. I think I just fell out of love with this, especially at this weapon size. It's still a good PvE weapon, although terrible for PvP. Your best option for a size 3 repeater is the ballistic SW16BR3 Shredder. As the name suggests, it shreds anything dumb enough not to get out of your way fast. With a burst DPS of 675 and max alpha damage of 81, which might not sound like much, but when you take into account that it's at 500 rounds per minute, traveling at 1.2 kilometers per second, it all adds up. The Shredder carries 2589 rounds of ammo, and while not great for PvP engagements, it's an incredibly fun PvE weapon. One weapon that really surprised me in patch 4.6 especially considering how underpowered its size 1 and 2 options are, is the CF337 Panther laser repeater. Although still nothing to write home about, it's a pretty solid choice at this size and the best option for PvP. The CF337 Panther has a burst DPS of 546 and max alpha damage of 44. Firing 750 rounds per minute. What makes it so good for PvP is not only the insane rate of fire, but 1.8 km per second projectile speed, meaning you can hit nimble targets pretty reliably with some practice. And finally, saving the best for last, the only Gatling gun on the list, the Mantis GT-220. Oh man, what fun this thing is, both for PvP and PvE. It comes with plenty of ammo, 4,314 rounds per gun to be exact, but at 1,600 rounds per minute you'll empty them fast if you're not careful. It does 507 burst DPS and has a maximum alpha damage of 19. Your projectiles also travel at 1.6 kilometers per second, making this a great weapon all round. But now that we've talked about which size 3 weapons are best in Star Citizen, I want to hear which ones you like most. Be sure to check out the video in the corner next, and I'll see you in the next one.